What if I told you that somewhere in a quiet suburban office, a respected psychiatrist was systematically stealing the most precious thing his patients possessed, their memories? Not through some science fiction device, but through a method so sinister, so perfectly legal that it took decades for anyone to realize what was happening. This is the story of Dr. Marcus Holloway, the man they called the memory thief. And by the end of this video, you'll question everything you think you know about trust, manipulation, and the terrifying fragility of the human mind. But before we dive into this psychological nightmare, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because the stories I'm about to share will change how you see the world forever. Millbrook was the kind of town where nothing bad ever happened. Tree-lined streets, white picket fences, and at the heart of it all stood the Millbrook Mental Health Center, a beacon of hope for those struggling with trauma, depression, and PTSD. Dr. Marcus Holloway was everything you'd want in a therapist. 53 years old, silver-haired, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, he'd graduated summa cum laude from Harvard, completed his residency at Johns Hopkins, and had been practicing for over 20 years. Patients described him as the father they never had and the only person who truly understood them. But Marcus Holloway harbored a secret obsession, one that began in his childhood and would eventually consume everything he claimed to protect. Sarah Chen, our first victim, was a 28-year-old art teacher who'd survived a devastating car crash that killed her fiancé. She came to Dr. Holloway broken, haunted by survivor's guilt, unable to paint, unable to sleep. She had one precious memory that kept her going. The moment her fiancé proposed on a beach in California, the way the sunset painted the sky in colors she'd never seen before, the feeling of pure joy that she clung to in her darkest moments. Dr. Holloway listened intently during their first session, taking detailed notes. Sarah felt understood for the first time in months. She had no idea she was sitting across from a predator who had just identified his next target. James Rodriguez was different. A 35-year-old veteran struggling with PTSD, he carried the weight of his service like a badge of honor. Despite the nightmares, despite the flashbacks, James held on to one perfect memory: teaching his daughter to ride a bike in their backyard, her laughter echoing as she finally found her balance, the pride in her eyes when she rode solo for the first time. And then there was Elizabeth Morgan, a 42-year-old widow whose husband had died suddenly of a heart attack. Through her grief, she treasured their last conversation, a silly argument about what to have for dinner that ended with them both laughing until they cried. A moment of pure love that defined their 15-year marriage. 3 different people, 3 different traumas, one precious memory each, and they all made the same fatal mistake. They trusted Dr. Marcus Holloway. What Dr. Holloway did wasn't technically illegal. In fact, it was a recognized therapeutic technique called memory reconsolidation therapy. The idea was simple: help patients reframe traumatic memories by guiding them to recall and then rewrite the emotional content of those memories while in a highly suggestible state. But Holloway had perverted this technique into something monstrous. During Sarah's third session, he introduced what he called cognitive restructuring. He had Sarah close her eyes and recall her precious memory of the proposal. But as she spoke, describing every detail, the smell of salt air, the warmth of the sand, the golden light, Holloway began to plant seeds of doubt. "Sarah," he said in his soothing voice, "I want you to look closer at that memory. Sometimes our mind plays tricks on us when we're traumatized. Are you certain about the colors? Depression can sometimes make us remember things as more beautiful than they were." Session after session, Holloway systematically dismantled Sarah's memory. He convinced her the sunset was actually gray and overcast, that her fiancé seemed distracted, possibly having second thoughts, that the joy she remembered was just her mind's way of protecting her from the truth, that even then their relationship was doomed. Within 6 months, Sarah's most precious memory had become a source of pain. The proposal she once cherished was now a lie her mind had told her. She'd lost not just her fiancé, but the very memory that had kept her sane. James experienced something similar. During their sessions, Holloway convinced him that his memory of teaching his daughter to ride a bike was false, a common occurrence in PTSD patients, he claimed. The mind creates happy memories to compensate for trauma, Holloway explained, but healing requires us to face reality. Slowly, methodically, Holloway convinced James that he'd never actually taught his daughter to ride a bike, that he'd been deployed during that time, that the memory was a fabrication, a coping mechanism that was preventing him from true recovery. Elizabeth's last conversation with her husband became, in Holloway's hands, evidence of a marriage in decline. Arguments about dinner, he mused, often symbolize deeper resentments. Your subconscious is trying to tell you something, Elizabeth. Maybe the laughter wasn't joy. Maybe it was hysteria, a breaking point in a relationship that was already over. But here's the truly diabolical part. Holloway didn't just steal these memories. He collected them. In his home office, he kept detailed journals describing each memory he'd corrected. He would read these journals late at night, experiencing these stolen moments of joy as if they were his own. Sarah's sunset proposal, James's proud fatherhood, Elizabeth's loving marriage, all cataloged, all possessed, all his. The truth might never have come to light if not for Dr. Amanda Foster, a young psychiatrist who joined the Millbrook Mental Health Center as Holloway's colleague in 2019. Amanda was brilliant, fresh out of her residency, and deeply committed to ethical practice. She noticed something odd about Holloway's patients. They seemed to be getting worse, not better. More specifically, they were losing their positive memories while retaining their traumatic ones. It was like watching people fade away, Amanda later testified. They came in broken, but with something to hold on to. They left as empty shells. Amanda began investigating quietly. She requested patient files, cross-referenced treatment methods, and what she found chilled her to the bone. Holloway had a pattern. He targeted patients with specific types of treasured memories, moments of pure joy or love that served as psychological anchors. But it was Sarah Chen who provided the breakthrough. During a chance encounter with Amanda at a coffee shop, Sarah broke down crying. "I don't know who I am anymore," she sobbed. "Dr. Holloway helped me see the truth about my memories, but now I have nothing left. Sometimes I wonder if anything good ever happened to me at all." Amanda realized she was looking at a victim of psychological abuse, sophisticated, systematic, and devastating. She convinced Sarah to undergo a session with another therapist, one trained in memory recovery techniques. What they discovered was groundbreaking. Sarah's original memory of the proposal was not only real, but actually more vivid and beautiful than she'd originally described. Her mind had been protecting the memory by understating its importance. Amanda contacted James and Elizabeth. Both agreed to memory recovery sessions. Both discovered that their precious memories were not only real, but had been systematically corrupted through a process that amounted to psychological torture. The investigation that followed revealed the true scope of Holloway's crimes. Over 15 years, he had stolen precious memories from over 200 patients. His journals, seized during a raid of his home, contained detailed descriptions of birthdays, weddings, moments with children, final conversations with loved ones, all experienced through his patient's words, all claimed as his own. What drove Marcus Holloway to commit such heinous acts? The answer lies in a concept psychologists call emotional vampirism, the pathological need to steal and consume others' emotional experiences. Holloway's childhood was marked by severe emotional neglect. Raised by distant, achievement-focused parents, he never experienced the kind of pure joy and love that his victims treasured. Rather than developing empathy, Holloway developed envy, a toxic resentment toward those who possessed what he'd never had. As a psychiatrist, he found the perfect hunting ground. His patients were vulnerable, trusting, and legally required to share their most intimate thoughts and memories. He had unfettered access to their psychological treasures and the authority to reshape their reality. But here's what makes this case truly terrifying. Holloway genuinely believed he was helping his patients. In his mind, he was freeing them from false happiness, forcing them to confront reality. This self-justification allowed him to continue his crimes for over a decade without experiencing guilt or remorse. This is the hallmark of sophisticated psychological abuse. The perpetrator convinces themselves they're providing a service. It's the same mechanism we see in cult leaders, abusive partners, and manipulative bosses. They don't see themselves as predators. They see themselves as enlightened guides helping others see the truth. Dr. Amanda Foster, who testified during Holloway's licensing hearing, put it perfectly. He didn't just steal memories, he stole identities. Our memories make us who we are. Without them, we're lost. Marcus Holloway lost his medical license in 2021 and faces civil lawsuits from over 150 former patients. He's currently in hiding, likely practicing under a different name, in a state without robust oversight. Sarah Chen has recovered much of her precious memory through specialized therapy and has returned to painting. Her first exhibition since the crash was titled Stolen Sunsets, and every piece glowed with the colors of that perfect proposal she almost lost forever. James Rodriguez founded a veterans support group focused on protecting positive memories alongside processing trauma. Elizabeth Morgan has become an advocate for victims of psychological abuse, working to establish better oversight of mental health practitioners. But this case raises disturbing questions. How many other Marcus Holloways are out there? How do we protect ourselves from those who would steal not just our money or possessions, but our very sense of self? The answer lies in awareness. Trust your instincts. If a therapist consistently focuses on destroying your positive memories rather than helping you build on them, seek a second opinion. True healing acknowledges trauma while preserving the good. Remember, your memories belong to you. Your joy belongs to you. And anyone who tries to take that away is not healing you. They're harming you. If this story disturbed you as much as it did me, subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of human predators. And remember, in a world full of memory thieves, the most radical act is holding on to your joy. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.